Good morning and welcome to another Gribbly's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour. That time each week when I look longingly at the pipe that I've decided not to smoke and complain about humanity while answering all of its questions. If you are a piece of humanity out there with an itching, burning, swollen COVID-19 infected question, leave it in the comments down below with the hashtag AskGribbs. I will answer any question. Now, as you may or may not have noticed, I am wearing my photographer's vest for this video because it makes me feel like I still have a job. I am recording this on the morning of March 21st, and we currently have 19,767 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the United States. We don't know how many there actually are because Western crony capitalism has failed the entire species. It's been a hard week for our entire country, our entire world, everybody in the YTPC. We're all feeling this pressure, and I have been thinking a lot about how I can react to this thing. I've been kind of paralyzed this week, not really knowing what to do, and I have come to a decision now. And my decision basically rests on the fact that it's never too late to say, I fucking told you so. I fall into a trap of thinking that all my subscribers have seen my entire channel, right? That they've heard me talk about everything before. But I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm gonna actually tell you the history of this decision. I am a paranoid nut job at base. And I have, since I was in freaking middle school, I have learned enough history and been aware of how evil the world can be and the kinds of situations into which humanity can fall. And as I have matured, I have tempered all of that, right? And the final tempering came, when Gribbly's Folly was born, it was born in 2016. I didn't want to be a part of the system anymore. I didn't like Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. I didn't like anybody. And I wanted to get out. So I decided to go to the woods and make my pipe channel partly about my adventures and, let's go learn about this stuff rather than focusing on the society and all that. That was a maturing. That was, I quit fighting. I let go. And then I made some predictions when I left, right? When I went into the woods, I was like, okay, we're going to be at war by 2017. There's going to be a nuclear explosion. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. Dogs and cats living together, and when none of those happened, I had to take a hard look at myself and say, well, maybe I'm just a doomsayer. Maybe, yes, things are bad. We have bumps in the road, but we are marching on toward the end of history, the economic and philosophical concept of, eventually everything's going to be awesome all the time. And we're not going to have to write any more history books because nothing will really happen. Not going to be any more wars, blah, 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 blah. Well, given enough time, on a long enough time scale, all doomsayers are right. I'm not trying to make light of all this. It's obviously, we've got 274 deaths in the country so far, and this thing isn't really even started yet. It's going to be a terrible time. What I have decided, though, is that at my base, I've been fighting against my paranoid nut job prepper nature my entire life. And now that this has happened, I think it's time to inhabit the shit out of it. But first, your questions. Here's Johnny says, keep it together, Gribbs. We all want to see those flies you tie. Yes, absolutely. There are going to be fly tying videos, fishing videos, all kinds of videos, because what the hell else am I going to do? I'm a wedding vendor. Would you go on with your wedding right now? Would you look at all the executive orders from various government, municipality, whatever, and they're all like, don't get a bunch of people together. Would you right now spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get a bunch of people together? I wouldn't. I'm screwed. We're going to be okay because we've been smart with our money our entire lives because we didn't have a choice because we were so poor. And we have some in savings and yeah, we'll be fine. That's not the point. The point is I'm so grateful that I am not a hospitality worker, that I am not a medical worker right now. Derek Tant, I'm calling the impeachment off. Derek, you deserve mayor for life, YTPC, because I can't imagine what you're going through right now. I've got several impeachment questions I've been holding on to because matches died, and I didn't want to politicize that crisis. Now we're in a whole different crisis. So look, we're just going to air these grievances. Steph and Skip say the mayor seems a bit too moderate. I don't like that he is not an extremist. It's just disconcerting that he likes everyone's beliefs equally and is respectful. I know, but he's a nurse, so we're gonna let it slide. Okay. When did Howard says, when did enjoying Canadian whiskey become a crime? As for aromatics, no one's perfect. Still not a crime. I disagree. I think it's an egregious offense, but he's a nurse, so he can do whatever he wants. David 35445 said, I know for a fact that the mayor may or may not have influenced a new pipe smoker to try a lane 1Q. Do we have to call it off? Maybe we could just postpone the impeachment a little bit longer until the quarantine is over. Okay, all right. We're calling it off. Derek, you and your 1Q-ness you do your thing. Pipe time says, I would refer to this video, and he puts a link in there, as further evidence of the mayor's abuse of power, sparkling whiskey, for crying out loud. I know. We're gonna have to let it go, fellas. We need to rally behind our leader in times like this. And sparkling whiskey. This is the best I can do. I'm calling the impeachment off. I'm calling it off. But have you ever noticed how much Derek Tant looks like Marie Antoinette? The masses will just have to take care of it on their own. All right. David 35445 says, I imagine all those hardcore preppers must be walking around their compounds with massive erections right now. Yeah. Okay, yeah, they probably are. And let's give it to them. They were right. We're right. Doomsayers are right. That's the whole theme for this video. But here's the deal. I imagine that a few weeks in quarantine and maybe a loved one dying from the coronavirus, it's probably going to be a bit of a boner shrinker. Back in July of 2017, oh man, those were good days. That was an innocent time. All right, back in July, I wrote a piece that I disseminated on this channel and on Instagram and all, called "On Readiness: Gribley's Guide to Dying Well," in which I pointed out the two main fallacies of our time. One is everything's gonna be fine. We live in the modern world. What could go wrong? Big fallacy. Number two is I'm a prepper and I can make myself invulnerable. You can't. And even if you could, you wouldn't want to be invulnerable, because that's not what being a human is all about. And so the crux of this piece was don't prep to survive shit. I think it's entirely reasonable to prep to survive shit, but don't prep to the point where you sacrifice your basic humanity to survive shit, because I would rather we all die of coronavirus or nuclear winter or whatever than to stop being human. And so you prep to put yourself in a position to continue being a good person. You prep to manage your fears and anxieties so that you can continue to love. Back when Trump was first elected, there were a lot of liberal friends of mine that said, this is horrible, but we were made for these times, right? We're going to rise to this challenge. I don't see anybody saying that now. I don't see anybody saying, I was made to live through this pandemic. I was born to be an actor, an agent in the worst crisis the world has known since World War II. Don't see a lot of people saying that, but logically, if you were made to live in 2017 when I wrote this, you're made to live now too. And it's time for us, everybody, but especially prepper types who think that they have answers to everything. If they just hoard a little bit more toilet paper, they'll be okay. It's time for you to step up. and be a good person, because we don't need you to sit at home with a really clean butt. We need you to help your fellow man. From quarantine, from figure out how to do it from quarantine. I haven't figured that out yet, but don't leave your house. So I got a whole lot of pushback on my commitment to refraining from pipe smoking during this difficult time. Peter McPherson says, just my opinion, but I think the smokers that the health agencies are referring to are the 1 to 2 pack a day cigarette smokers inhaling into their lungs. Yes, I agree. I agree with that. What I'm reacting to in a knee-jerk way is that I read a headline that I can't even find anymore that said that tobacco increases the ACE inhibitors in your lungs, and that's what the virus uses to get deep into your lung holes. I just want to be super cautious, but you guys you're of a different opinion. That's okay. I understand. Y'all keep smoking. John Waxeroni says, why would an intelligent guy like you give up the one thing that brings you happiness? Stress will kill you before the virus. I get it. I'm just trying to be careful. Alex Gennaro says, you without your pipe will be like Trump without his hair. Fine. I am smoking Westminster in my Missouri Meerschaum hardwood, custom rusticated by Half and Half a Sage. He did a great job. Fireplug 1701D, thank you for the package. There's more to come on that package. I'm actually going to use some of it in one of my upcoming videos. Ask Gribs, we had SARS in the early aughts. Then we had Ebola. Then comes the push for 5G. Now this. Do you think this ties in with the Georgia Guidestones? Honestly, I haven't really paid much attention to the Georgia Guidestones. After their third album, I felt like they totally sold out to the whole pop country thing. But, Don't Give Me No Lines was pretty good. Martin Stinsby asked Gribs, what are your thoughts on group immunity? I would gladly take the virus if that could help to create group immunity. And I would too. I am not a virologist or an epidemiologist, but I do run a YouTube channel from my garage where I must answer everyone's questions. So what I know about group immunity leads me to believe that yes, if all of the under 40 crowd, which I'm still just barely in there, if all of us could get the virus, develop an immunity to it, then that immunity would protect the folks that are at greater risk, right? So in theory, that would be great. In practice, how do you do that? How do I expose myself without then exposing my mom? My mom's 85-year-old cancer patient husband. How do I, I've got the lady that helped organize my show has breathing issues. She's my age, breathing issues. So I think that group immunity is sort of the consolation prize of losing a whole lot of people to a virus. Over the course of years, you develop herd immunity or group immunity, but that's after a lot of the damage has been done. I don't know. I don't know how that works because I'm just some dude, but it would be nice if there were a way that those of us who are youngish and able-bodied, if we could just take the hit for our elders, and yeah, but we can't. Tron 8882 asked Gribs. He's from California, works in Costco, says things are crazy. Asked Gribs, there's a rumor going around that Bill Gates invented the coronavirus. You could call it a rumor. So if you're new to the channel, we dismiss conspiracy theories at our own peril, right? Because I'm sure you've seen the news about Senators Burr, Feinstein, and two others that I can't remember. They all sold their stocks after news of this pandemic was given to the Senate Intelligence Committee. They made a bundle on the stock market before everything crashed. So to say that conspiracy theories are always false means those guys are totally innocent, right? They didn't. I mean, it's just a total coincidence that they sold those stocks at that time. And I love how liberals are all up in arms about Burr doing it. and Republicans, or whatever they are now, Trumpkins, are all up in arms about Feinstein doing it, and they minimize Burr doing it. So both sides are angry at the other side for doing the exact same thing. Feinstein's like, oh, all the decisions about my stocks are made from a blind trust. And then my husband, yeah, he might have sold millions of dollars in stocks after I was briefed on this, but I got nothing to do with my husband's stock decisions. See you in hell, Burr and Feinstein. So anyway, having said that, conspiracy theories are a thing. There are conspiracies. People conspire to do bad things. Having said that, the theory that Bill Gates patented the coronavirus, there was a patent for a coronavirus made in terms of research some years back, and now people are pushing that. I noticed that the people that are pushing that are also the people that are super into QAnon. And as we all know, the Q from QAnon is the same Q from Lane 1Q. And that is why I don't like Lane 1Q. If you don't know what QAnon is, it's the theory that Donald Trump is some sort of master multiple dimension chess player, and that everything that has happened from 2016 till now is part of his master plan for how he's going to save the country from the deep state cabal or whatever. And their slogan is "Where we go one, we go all." What does that even mean? If you're a QAnon person out there, what does that mean? Where we go one, we go all. So if you go into, like, I don't know, Joe Bob's Guns and Ammo to try to get the last box of 9mm, are all the other QAnon people also somehow with you in, like, spiritual form? Or, like, what happens when you're driving home and you ate at Taco Bell and you gotta, like, stop at the rest stop? Like, are they in the stall with you? Like, hey, good job getting that ammo. Maybe next time get some more fiber in your diet. Oh, and here's the toilet paper. Oh, no toilet paper. Sorry, buddy. Anyway, Tron, to address your question without minimizing it, I don't think that Bill Gates, who has spent his life preparing for a pandemic, is in fact the source of the pandemic. And the number one thing I'd point you to as evidence against that would be the fact that Bill Gates is one of the richest people in the world. Why the hell would he need to do that? Like, I think the theory is that that they've been developing a vaccine, and so that they release the virus and let it get all out of control so that then they can sell the vaccine. What would it benefit Bill Gates to do that? He's already got more money than any human being can ever spend in their entire lives. Why? Why would you do that? Unless, of course, he displayed dark triad personality traits, Machiavellianism, narcissism, that sort of thing. But man, I don't know anybody right now that's out there displaying those sorts of traits. It's funny. Everybody in power seems to really be handling this well. John Waxeroni says, why trash President Trump here? He was just complimented for closing our borders the minute this threat came out. I so hope you are being sarcastic. The takeaway thus far in COVID-19, the takeaway for me is what I'm just reinforcing my own biases, but it is what it has always been, which is that government is completely incompetent and mostly evil. The president's hubris has killed and will go on to kill thousands in this situation. Richard Burr is my senator, and after he was briefed on, did I just set myself on fire? Oh God, I'm on fire. After my Senator Richard Burr was briefed on this situation, he went to sell his stocks, and then he told everyone everything is fine. Larry Kudlow on freaking February 25th, so almost 4 weeks ago now, told everyone that this thing was contained, and if not airtight, it was close to airtight contained. What are we supposed to take away from that? So I have a lot of friends that work in healthcare at this point because my kid was a preemie and we met a lot of doctors. And one of them posted something someone wrote about this TV series called Chernobyl. I think it's really sad that Americans learn history from TV that big corporations make and feed to us. Anyway, I know I've read a thing or two about Chernobyl, and So I haven't seen the show, is what I'm trying to tell you. I don't know about the show, but I know what happened at Chernobyl. And the point that it was trying to make is that we're now sending our healthcare workers with no personal protective equipment into the hot zone in the same way that the Soviets sent soldiers and workers into the Pripyat nuclear meltdown. And I think the takeaway there is I mean, they were like, so the Soviets offered their soldiers a choice between doing one shift in the power plant and serving a year in Afghanistan. That was how dangerous it was. And of course, most of those people got horrible cancers and got radiated. And the ones that didn't die on the spot, when Chernobyl first happened, some of the first responding firefighters died at the scene. The Soviets just sent people in there. Because anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is the West used Chernobyl as this huge, like, bludgeoning stick against rightly so, against the Soviets. Look, at these people are incompetent and they're malignantly negligent, meaning this could have been stopped. It wasn't stopped because they ultimately don't care about their own people. And so for 2 decades, we said, 3 decades, look at what the Soviet Union did here. What a horrible place to be. What a horrible way to be a government. Now we're sending our healthcare workers into a situation that is very, I mean, it's not that dramatic in that they probably won't die at the scene, but a lot of healthcare workers died in China. So we are sending our healthcare workers to die into this situation. Meanwhile, we still got soldiers in Afghanistan. So I feel like the takeaway is like, yeah, okay, so we might have had some more personal freedoms. Our economy was stronger than the Soviet Union's. It's good that we won the Cold War, blah, blah, blah. In the end, we're still being led by the same people. By their works you shall know them, and when the chips are down, that's when you can see all their works. So, our last question, over a pipe, ask Gribbs, should I film on my A6100 at 4K 30 frames per second or at 1080p at 60 frames per second? Martin, you've come to the right place. You should film at 4K at 30 frames per second. And the reason is, we're pipe presenters, man. We don't move very fast. This is not, you're not shooting like women's volleyball or something. We don't need to see all those frames, right? We're mostly sitting still, smoking our pipes and being all contemplative and talking a lot. So 30 frames per second with a higher quality to the image would be just fine. Having said all that, in Europe, they're already downgrading the quality of YouTube and Netflix videos because they're worried about making the entire internet crash because everyone's home right now watching the internet. So, yeah, that's a little concerning. Can you guys tell I might be reading the news too much? Yeah, I think it's time to go make some fishing videos. Thank you for watching another Sunday Antisocial here on the Gribbly's Folly channel. Follow me on Instagram at Gribbly's Folly. My exhibit was canceled. My exhibit's done. So I did sell a little bit of work from it. It's a successful exhibit, barely. And, I want to be talking about that more. I just feel like now is not the time to really be trying to sell artwork on the internet. Of course, it's also not the time to go shoot weddings. So if you want to contribute to hear my paranoid doomsaying ramblings, then you let me know. I will definitely start a Patreon because I ain't got any other income coming in. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you are all safe and washing your hands and staying the hell inside when you can. Man, I'm sorry we're all going through this. I'm really sorry we're all going through this. So, smoke your pipe. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.